Today we're back on the SL. As you could see, it kind of been put on the back burner for a minute, tucked away in the shop, had some things blocking it, got everything moved out of the way. Finally received what I was waiting for, which is a rebuilt fuel distributor. This is out of a company called AdZitCo. They take your core in, completely disassemble it, replace all the pieces inside of it, and then actually put it on a flow bench and make sure that all 8 ports that go to each injector are actually flowing the correct amount and the same amount per cylinder. This took about a month to get. So while we were waiting for that, of course, I started ordering more parts. This is the intake throttle body boot. Goes underneath of the whole throttle body assembly, and apparently these can crack. I don't know if it's ever been replaced or not, but I figured since we were going to be taking off these fuel lines off the fuel distributor again, that it'd probably be best, and it's right on top. It should be easy enough to do. So I really don't know what I'm doing, but there's just a bunch of bolts here. This shouldn't be that difficult. Let's see how far we can get into this. Put this somewhere safe. So what we're looking at, remove these 8 lines from the top that go to the injectors. We'll loosen up the feed and return lines that come from the tank and go back to the tank. There's also a cold start valve line that comes out of the side, and the warm-up regulator at the front has another line to it as well. So we get all these kind of removed, and then it looks like there's just a bunch of 10 mils here that should allow this to come up, but there's rumor that there's a really horrible bracket that's kind of a hose clamp, but apparently it's really hard to get to, that releases that rubber boot, and then this whole assembly should come out of here. So we're gonna start working on that. All right, those are all the 8 fuel injector lines. Now we can work on all the other lines. As you guys can see now, I've got the entire throttle assembly out, which includes the throttle plate, that fuel distributor, and all the lines. There's the actual throttle body. That opens and is connected to the actual throttle linkage. And that diaphragm that we saw on the other one, that's what opens and closes and is attached to the pin on the bottom of the fuel distributor. I'll show you that shortly. Evidence of mice and squirrels. We'll vacuum all that out. I'm not ready to clean the car yet, but we're gonna vacuum all this out since it's buried in the intake. Let's go over to the bench. Yeah, so as you can see, there's a crack that runs along the bottom. Crack over here. There's another crack running up the side. And all of that will cause vacuum leaks and will make this impossible for us to troubleshoot. So let's get this replaced. We'll get that new fuel distributor on there. Here's this clamp that we were talking about. It looks like they never even tightened that clamp, because I didn't have to loosen it. Some kind of weird double clamp that ratchets as you tighten. We'll probably let this soak in PB Blaster and see if we can't get this to work when we reuse it. All right, here's the business end. Should be it. Oh. The same but different. One number off. Wonder if you're supposed to peel this apart. After a little Google research, it appears this is a new style. This is an old style. If you want the ring, the bracket that goes around the outside, it's $170. I've cut away a small piece, and it looks like we can try and separate this hard plastic from the aluminum, but it's almost like it's impregnated together, like it does not want to come apart. So I'm going to spend a couple minutes here. It's worth $170 and probably what, another week wait. I'm going to try and cut all this big rubber stuff out, and then I'm going to take the torch and just try and burn this rubber out. It's stuck on there really good. There's no pliers, screwdriver, or chisel that's going to take it off, and I don't want to damage the aluminum underside. So I'm thinking if I just take a rosebud type tip on an acetylene torch, it should get this hot enough to definitely smoke out the whole neighborhood, but it should also try and burn some of this off. We're just going to try it in this one area, see how it goes. Oh, there we go. You can see it's tearing the rubber, not pulling away from that. Oh, yeah. All right, let's see how this goes. All right, so this is kind of working. Just trying to get it hot enough so it burns off the rubber. Probably need a wire wheel afterwards. Too much gas. This is kind of ridiculous. I guess I've done crazier things for $170. Oh. Well, went too hot in one spot and liquefied the aluminum. So, $170, here we come. A little teaser of my youngest son's newest purchase. All right, we're gonna clean this mess up and go spend $180. So, $180 later, we've got a new, they call it a flange. So, that's the one we caught on fire. It looks like it wasn't gonna work anyhow. It's a completely different design. This one has ridges inside, and this one actually has a recess that goes all the way around that actually goes into the part of the rubber there. So I'm gonna get the actual throttle assembly here cleaned up. I had it soaking in the parts washer. We'll get this all blown out, and then we'll get it back together. Oh, that wasn't that bad. Just put a little WD-40 on here to help things slide into place. All right, time for the fuel distributor. Helps if it's pointed the right way. Lubricate this O-ring. Let's see. Beautiful. All right, we got the crazy hose clamp back on there. I think it goes right there. Let's see if we can't shimmy this thing back down in here. All right, let's tighten up that goofy clamp. All right, let's work all these lines back. I now can see where some of those longer screws go. I made the mistake earlier of putting them in, so I'm going to pull them back out. And the long screws go where there are brackets that hold things on. All right, I've got all the fuel lines tightened back up. I've got the air idle slide reconnected back in the front and reconnected some of these vacuum lines as best I can. Let's connect the battery, and then we're gonna cycle the key a couple times. We should see this throttle plate push itself up tight, and then let's see if she wants to start. All right, I think we have to set the actual throttle blade with a 3mm Allen. So I have to call my buddy Tom. The throttle down, kind of just let this thing run for a while on all cylinders, see what happens here. Got oil pressure. how she runs after she warms up.